welcome back to my channel. My name is Bree Buonomo, and today I'm doing my March wrap-up. I cannot believe we are at the end of March already and heading into April. It just doesn't seem like 3 months has passed, but here we are. So if you're new here, this is the video that I share all the books I read, the things I wrote, and some personal life tidbits, and we're going to try to keep this brief and just give you kind of the highlights of my month. So let's go. So we're gonna start off with the books I read, and I only completed 3 books this month of varying lengths and sizes, and it was a relatively mid-month for reading. Not the worst, but not the best. The first book that I read and completed was a very quick book called The Power of Trauma-Informed Yoga by Sue Berman. This was a nonfiction book that basically just talks about the research of basically trauma on the body and the brain, and how yoga, specifically trauma-informed yoga, can help people heal and really reconnect with their bodies. I think this was a really well-researched book. I really enjoyed reading it, and for the most part, other than when we got to the yoga specific stuff, all of the psychology aspects were kind of just a review for me because that is what I teach. So I found myself thinking of all the stuff I share with my clients on a daily basis, and how this book was pretty much all of that packed into one. So I would recommend it if you are interested in whatever you're interested in, the trauma parts, how trauma-informed yoga can be beneficial for you, or just to have as a resource to give to other people. It's a very quick read, and it is out on April 3rd. I did get an advance copy from Readsy Discovery, so if you're interested, I will leave the link to my review down below. The next book I read and completed was Stoneblind by Natalie Haynes. This is a Medusa retelling myth. I don't really know how to explain this. It was pitched as a Medusa retelling and a deep dive into who Medusa is and how she ended up being beheaded in the end. And because of that description, I could not fully enjoy this book because it was not what the book gave me. This is basically the Medusa myth. The entire book is just the myth of Medusa and how all these other factors played into her beheading. Medusa is very much not in the book, for the most part. Medusa's head, her severed head after Perseus kills her, was in the book more than Medusa. And for that reason, I would only have to give this a 3-star because I just had my expectations completely demolished. I was really expecting this to be more like a Circe book where we're telling this myth of Circe, but you're focusing in on Circe and her life and her own experiences and giving a little bit more emphasis on Circe itself and what she might be feeling or thinking or whatever. This was just as if you picked up a text and somebody was reading you the myths. Almost like Neil Gaiman's Norse Gods, how Neil Gaiman is telling you the myths and not really giving personification to the myths. That's how Stoneblind read, which is great. And I will say the audiobook was excellent. It's just not the book I was expecting. So if I detached my expectations from the book, I enjoyed it. I really liked to listen to the myths. I really like to get a little bit more of some of the people involved that I would not have considered. I really like some of the creativity the author did as far as having a chapter from these random people and or objects in some cases. That was fun, but overall it wasn't really a deep dive into Medusa, and for saying that it's Medusa's story, I do think that's misleading. So I would just say I would recommend this book to people who love Greek mythology or mythology in general, but if you're expecting it to be more like Circe or fully focusing on Medusa and Medusa alone, that's not it. And then lastly, I just finished yesterday, and I do not know my thoughts. I don't think they're coherent, on The Atlas Complex by Olivia Blake. I don't know. Right now it's mid-tier for me. 3 out of 5 maybe. I don't know. I just don't know what I read, and for this to be a conclusion of series that I really loved. I liked book 1 a lot, but then I read book 2 and I was so sucked in, and I thought this ending was just going to be so mind-blowing, and just everything that happened in this book just felt okay, all right. We just spent 2 whole books building this up, and falling in love with the characters. I will say, I think her strongest part is the characters. I still loved the characters, but for major things that happened to these characters, I just felt so detached from them. And I'm well, how is this where is this book going? And then by the end of it, I was like, is this really how the book is going to end? Like, not with a bang, but a whisper? So I don't know. There was a lot that I loved in this book, but I don't know if I loved the whole book, if that makes sense. And I just can't give you a coherent thought. You know, the Atlas Six follows 6 individuals who are brought into the Alexandrian Society. They're basically like these magic people who have pretty intense or special skills that aren't seen amongst all the other magic users in the world. It's a parallel universe to ours. I believe it's not our universe, but it's a universe like ours, but with magic involved in the society. Very creative idea. I love the characters. There's a lot of like ships that I had in this book, and they grew on me even more in this book, but yet, like I said, it just seemed to fizzle in the end, and I am disappointed. I will say that. Like, it's just not how I expected I didn't know what I expected the ending to be, but it just wasn't this. So yeah, I'm gonna have to sit and really think about this, but I don't even know if I could tell you fully what happened sometimes. Like, it was just sometimes I was like, is this real now? So I don't know, man. I just don't know. Let me know if you read this book and you read the whole series. Like, let me know your thoughts in the comments so we can discuss. But that's all the books I read. I have a couple that I'm in the middle of, and I hope to give you a review on those in April. Now let's go on to the things I wrote. This month was a really great month for writing in some ways. For the most part, I have solely focused on writing Project Vampire, and I have been doing really great with writing 5,000 words a week to match the pace of the Readsy Learning program. So if you haven't been watching my vlogs, I've been doing a Readsy Learning program called How to Write a Novel with Tom Bromley, and basically it's just break down every week different parts of a novel. So you have your plot and your characters, your writing, your pacing, like all the stuff that makes up a novel. Each week is like broken down into sections, and in addition to doing the course, you're expected to be working on your novel at the same time, so writing 5,000 words a week, and I have been doing really well with that. Surprisingly, I don't know how, like this month, like in that regard, like went really well for me. I've been mentioning this to you guys, but if you're interested and you've been following my vlogs or you want to go back, there is a new cohort starting on April 8th. So you guys basically have a week to decide if you want to join. It is about a $1,200 course. You can make that payment in 4 installments. And good news for you guys too, if you want to join, I have a 10% discount available to you. So if you want to use code Bree10 and get 10% off that course, you can use that. So I'm very excited to share that. This is the first video I'm able to share it. And yeah, it's just really cool. I'm just happy to be able to provide to you guys. That code can be used until they stop letting me use it, I guess. But it can be used for any cohort in the future as well. So if you don't want to make, or you can't make the April one, any future one you can make as well. And they usually go about 1 to 2 months. And in April, it's the first time they're introducing a mentor like coaching program where you can pay a small additional fee to be matched with a mentor in your genre that you're writing in. And you'll get 3 one-on-one sessions with a 2,000 word critique of your novel. And that's pretty cool. It sounds like a great time. I'm excited that they are doing it for your genre specific, because I think that is a lot more powerful, and that is really cool. So if you want more info, I do go into that further in my upcoming vlog, but I wanted to pitch it here as well. So the link for all of those things are below, and yeah, that's cool. So now that the sales pitch is out of the way, as far as other writing things go, I don't have a ton of updates. I will say that I was rejected for my chapbook of poetry, which is fair. There was like 70 some people who submitted chapbook submissions, and they pared it down to 9 people. So I kind of figured mine was not going to be taken. And the reason I figure that is because when I initially made my chapbook, I had it broken into 3 different sections, and those sections flowed better the way that it was. But then when they only wanted to take about 30 poems for their chapbooks, I did splice the book, which meant that it lost the flow that I had, and I had to try to create a new flow, and I don't think it did flow, to be honest. So that may just be a sign that I need to just self-publish the book, but we'll see. I'm really, really nervous about dipping my toes into self-publishing, because even though I have friends who do it, it makes me so nervous. But maybe we will do it. I do have a couple people that I know that publish poetry books now. But anyway, just wanted to update that. I also randomly decided, I saw that a submission window was open for Full Mood Mag, and I submitted 3 poems to them. I just, on a whim at work, I got the email, I had a cancellation, so I went and submitted 3 poems. We'll just see how that goes. I will say there were already written poems. I didn't write because they had no theme, so I didn't write to a theme for that submission. I already had the poems and I decided to submit them. And then the only other piece is that it is March 31st when I'm filming this, and I believe tomorrow I will know if I am chosen at all to be published in Elegant magazine. So that's nerve-wracking. I can't give you an update today because I didn't get any updates, but I guess we will see tomorrow if I do. And I guess if I do, for any reason, I will put a pinned comment to let you guys know how that goes. I did complete my critique of a novel for 2 of my friends. They submitted to me, I think in January, and I had finished my one critique review, and then I jumped into this one right after. So I did finish that this month, which was great. It was asked to be returned by the 31st, so I beat the clock by 2 days. I also read a short story and gave some feedback for Anna, and it was good. I really liked the concept of her short story, so I'm glad that she asked if I had time to read it because it was a fun little break. But that's it on the writing front. No new news, nothing else created other than words for my novel. I did get a critique back from Tom Brovley on my novel, which was relatively positive, so that's always great to see. But despite all the positivity, there was some good feedback as well. So that's my fave, right? We love to be positive, but we also like to get stuff to help our novels. And then as far as my personal life goes, March was a very nice month where I kind of had a good balance of things where I wasn't burning myself out, but I was able to see and spend time with others. The biggest highlight was that I got to meet Holly Rhiannon of the Stygian Society. Holly also has a YouTube channel, which is how I was invited to be a part of the Stygian Society. And if you haven't been here for a while, Stygian Society was the publisher who published our short story collection, the Stygian Collection, and that was where my first story was published. So I got to meet her. She was making her way around the United States meeting people, and she made it up to my neck of the woods. We had a lovely little day together. We went for lunch, we chatted, we wrote together, and then we went to an arcade bar, and that was really fun. And then we kind of parted ways. Nothing crazy or fancy, but it was a really nice day, and it was fun to meet her. As far as movies goes too, I watched a lot of movies. They were Poor Things, which I gave probably a 3 out of 5. Well acted, very weird, but kind of enjoyed it. The Menu, which is like a horror social commentary movie, give that a 4 out of 5. That's right up my alley. I love that kind of stuff. Ricky Stanicki, which is, I think it's an Amazon Prime movie. It is a comedy. It was fine. It was nothing to hit home about, probably a 2 out of 5. There were some funny moments, but it definitely is just one of those movies where it's like, it was good to watch, but I'm never gonna watch it again. Damsel, which was a book adaptation on Netflix. I never read the book. Would give it maybe a 2.5 out of 5. As far as the movie goes, it was not great. Like, it was kind of predictable, but also not well done. I don't know. It was just like very mid, I guess. We're just using that word a lot in this video, but it's mid. It's fine. Didn't hate it. So the one thing I will say is it had an accurate dragon in it, and that was appreciated. So that 0.5, the 0.5 got for the dragon. And then most recently we watched Everything Everywhere All at Once, and I gave that a 4 out of 5. Again, my type of weird sci-fi, kind of meta, kind of interesting stuff, kind of weird. I really liked it, though I will say I interpreted the ending way more optimistically than my husband did, and my husband said that they said how the ending was more him and his views, which made me sad because that means that, like, it's a little bit more pessimistic than I was hoping for. But I did enjoy it, so I get why it was like Oscar worthy or whatever, award show worthy. I don't know. I know it got something, right? I don't know. It was really good. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it for my March. I'm sure I did other things, but it wasn't as impactful right now in my brain. So that's where we're at. It was very quiet, and I wrote a lot of words. So basically, anytime anyone asked me to do anything, I was like, I can't, I'm writing. So that's pretty much how I've been maintaining my writing skill, is by not having any life outside of that. I'm joking, because I did have a relatively good balance this month. Thankfully, because of cancellations at work. Otherwise, I would not have gotten nearly as productive as I was every day. Let me know how your March was. What were the highlights? What were the lowlights? Anything that you want to celebrate? Let us know in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you then. Bye.